coming here.
Just give a brief idea what is here.
Oh, this is going to be Representative Ilhan Omar, and she is a like, what do they consider it? Yeah, Bernie Sanders surrogate for Nevada for right now, because he's in New Hampshire, so he can't be here. But Nevada will be.
Political activity.
Yeah, this is a town hall meeting for questions and stuff like that.
Just do that.
Hey, how are you guys?
Do it. You can sign in, please. Hi. Right here.
I know you look familiar. I was gonna say,
here,
I
sir,
know
please.
I just saw you guys. How are you? Did you change your hair though?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Yeah, you did. I think so. How are you guys? I saw you. Oh my gosh, good to see you. You too. Where's your sister?
She stayed.
Yeah, because we live here, but he's not a citizen. Okay, we have a YouTube channel we've been doing for a long time about travel and stuff, but now that this is going on, so yeah.
Teachers as well.
Okay, so
Oh yeah, I will. I have a couple teachers. I'm
like filming and video is going to be just like for your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. We have a particular area for like photographers and camera just because we don't want them to be maneuvering through the event.
Yeah, he's
So
fine
if
with
that's
that.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah,
Is there any way we can
that's what he wants to do. There'll just be a certain, let her in,
Maddie.
and I'll just tell you.
So just in the back here where the other cameras are? Yeah, that'd be great. Wonderful.
I'm not really into politics, but today, because my lady is here, so I come here with her, with my press card.
Which is a good problem to have, so not complaining. Guys, feel free to sign in. You guys can take any of
I see a lot of familiar faces here, but my name is Peter Koltag. I work on the Bernie Sanders campaign here in Nevada, one of more than 100 Bernie Sanders staffers who are here making sure that we're going to win these caucuses on February 12th. Before I invite up our first intro speaker, who is someone who will definitely fire the room up, I do want to say that floating around the room, we do have some organizers. Raise your hand, organizers. Yes, so make sure that you get connected with these folks if you haven't already. They can help you make a plan to either early vote or participate in the caucus. They can tell you where your caucus location is. They can get you signed up to volunteer. Next couple weeks are critical as we turn out voters. We've been knocking thousands and thousands of doors every weekend, and now even more during the week. Some of our friends from Iowa are coming to help us out, but we need you guys in the next 10 days to really help us finish this strong. So you can sign up for a volunteer shift or make sure you have a plan to caucus. We definitely need to get that done. All right, so now let's get to the actual program, the fun part. So our first speaker, some of you may have seen him. This is his second trip to Nevada on behalf of the Bernie 2020 campaign. He is a labor activist, a Medicare for All activist, a stalwart of DSA. Please help me welcome José La Luz.
I'm a national surrogate for Bernie Sanders. I hail from this island in the Caribbean called Puerto Rico. Many of you know that the island was devastated by a so-called natural disaster. But most of us know that what happened there is the result of climate change. Some media outlets choose to neglect the fact that prior to the catastrophic event, there was a man-made catastrophe which resulted in the island of Puerto Rico owning $140 billion to Wall Street banks and hedge funds, and that was in fact a catastrophe. And that preceded the so-called natural catastrophe with Hurricane first Irma and then finally Hurricane Maria. As if that wasn't enough, recently, as I'm sure some of you have heard, there have been numerous earthquakes in the southern part of the island that have demolished a great part of the houses, bridges, and infrastructure. Now for us, what we learn from that is that the only way we can actually survive is by building a grassroots movement of people to seize power, to build power, which is what we did when we put 1 million people on the streets to oust a corrupt governor, the same one who said that only 40 people had died as a result of the hurricane. We put him out of office, 1 million people. Is that power concedes nothing, and the only way change happens is when men and women and people of all colors, of all races, the kind of movement that we are building, a multiracial, multi-ethnic movement, mobilizes the energy of the people. And we begin to cause change. We are going to hear from my friend and my comrade Ilhan Omar in a little while. Because before that, I am happy to introduce another comrade of mine, because I was one of the founders of the Democratic Socialists of America. I'm very proud that some of our comrades are working in the campaign, but more than that, that they are volunteers in the campaign, because the wheels of history are turned by people who put other people in motion, just like we did in Puerto Rico. I am also happy to know that my friend and my comrade, Carmen Yulín Cruz, the mayor of San Juan, was here in Las Vegas recently with another comrade of mine called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So I am happy to introduce at this point somebody that some of you have probably met, a leader, an activist from this organization called PLAN. What is PLAN? Progressive Leadership Alliance of the Tierra Nevada. Right? The Tierra Nevada. So please join me in welcoming Amanda Kuhn.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amanda Khan. I'm a community organizer here in Las Vegas. I've been living here for 2.5 years, but I originally hailed from Minnesota, the great state of Minnesota. Funny story about Minnesota. I got a text this morning from the city of Minneapolis saying that they declared a snow emergency, and it's times like this that I'm really happy that I live here in Las Vegas. I don't know if y'all know what a snow emergency is, but we can talk about it later. I remember being in Minnesota in 2016 on election night, sitting on the couch with my sister-in-law, who is formerly an undocumented person. And I remember the moment where it was very clear that Donald Trump was going to take the nominee for president. I don't know if you all recall that exact moment. But it was some pretty devastating news for our family and for my sister-in-law. And although that was devastating news that same night, we got some really good news. And that night, Minnesota had elected Representative Ilhan Omar to the Minnesota House of Representatives. At that moment, I knew that we'd have a champion on the ground who would fight back against any attempts to separate my family. At the Minnesota legislature, she fought to ensure that cities like Minneapolis are a safe and welcoming place for everyone regardless of status. And now, as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, she's the first Somali American, the first immigrant from Africa, the first woman of color that was elected from Minnesota to be in Congress. She continues to be a fierce and powerful force and a champion of Minnesota. And she fights to keep families together for peace and not war, for affordable housing, affordable education, and so much more. And it really warms my heart to know that I have a representative that's fighting for my family in Minnesota while I organize here in Nevada. That's so important to me because I can't fully organize and be present here in Nevada and be here for my community while being in fear that my family in Minnesota would be under attack. And so it's really important, and I'm really honored and privileged to have a representative who's fighting for my family. I have a sister here in Nevada that also organizes, and she shares the same sentiments. And it's my greatest honor and privilege to welcome a sister Minnesotan, a sister organizer, Congressman Ilhan Omar.
Thank you, Amanda, for that heartfelt introduction.